Day, because it's a day that God's given us. We're glad to be here, glad that you're here with us. And we're going to try to keep it light today on a Monday. So much going on in the world. The trial of Donald Trump is just open. Um, Still got the situation in the Middle East. Just so much going on, but we're going to try to keep it light today with a guest who was with us a couple of weeks ago. Wanted to have him back on because we did something very interesting. When was that true? About
That was March 8th, I
two
believe.
Saturdays ago down there.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. What we just recently did,
yeah,
that was.
tell our listening audience about that. I thought it was interesting.
So we did a interview where we basically interviewed each other with this organization called Story Court, and they basically go around to different states across the United States, and they let people come together and interview each other about anything that they want. And they have a website too, but on there you can see where people are talking about something special about their grandma or their grandmother, or just really unique things in people's lives that you might not know about. So yeah, it was really cool going out there in the RV and everything.
Yeah, it was. As a matter of fact, now I believe that's going to be in the Library of Congress also. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, they let you publish it in the Library of Congress, and it has the potential to be on NPR. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
National Public Radio, yeah.
Yeah.
So we might get discovered nationally.
I mean, you never know. It might be out there on NPR.
That was very interesting though, and I don't know how many people I would not have known had you not told me about it that they were going to be there.
Yeah, shout out to my mom on that, because I didn't know about it either. But she sent it to me. I was like, yeah, you should check this out, and maybe you and Mr. Don can go out there and interview each other or whatever. So.
Now I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I was really trying to get out of doing. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that was very interesting, and I think that for those who have a story to tell, especially those who have been involved in the civil rights movement here in Columbia, I just have an interesting story to tell about growing up in Columbia or wherever. Mm-hmm. That would have been the perfect opportunity to discuss that, because they gave. How much time did we have? About an hour? Was it? No, 40 minutes.
Yeah, at least 40, 45 minutes somewhere.
Boy, it seemed like an hour though.
Yeah, it did seem like a while. Probably because afterwards, like the pictures and stuff.
Yeah. I tried to get True to sing, and he wouldn't. Now you got to explain that. Why wouldn't you sing or anything?
I was trying to think of something that made sense, because I didn't want to just randomly start singing something and it didn't sound right coming out.
But it was interesting because the lady said they usually don't like for that to occur, because you might get into copyright stuff and all that other stuff. But so it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I couldn't play I was thinking of playing a beat, but that was in my mind. I was like, well, I probably can't do that because of copyrights and stuff. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that worked out pretty good. It was a nice Saturday, and it was just absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you for inviting me down to do that.
Yeah, no problem.
It was really great. Now, most of you know True. He's been on the program before, and he was on about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And since he invited me down to do that little interview, and there's a chance I might get discovered, no. I'm bringing him back on just for a little light Monday afternoon conversation. It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, too.
So what have you been doing since the last... Well, hold on. Let me grab a call. Okay. Yes, sir. Your comment or question? Same to you.
My one daughter said she wants to interview you, so you are kind of a celebrity. Pick your brain about what it was like growing up in Columbia in the time frame you did, back, 90 years ago, 80 years, something like that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm laughing. You see, I'm laughing. But no, that would be great. Anytime she would like to do it, just let me know.
Yeah, but you don't want to know. I grew up in South Carolina, and my grandparents were in Pennsylvania, so we only got to see them once, maybe twice a year. And I was always so jealous of my friends that had grandparents, locally, because they could always talk to their grandparents and get all these stories and everything. And that's one thing, if I could go back in time, I would have found a way, because back then long distance cost a lot of money to call grandparents and everything. You couldn't just call them up like you can now on cell phone. And I hate so badly that I never got to ask them a lot of stuff about how it was growing up and everything. And my grandfather and his brother-in-law spoke what's called Pennsylvania Dutch, which is a dying language. Not many people speak it anymore. And I would have loved to have heard him teach a little bit of that to me and everything. But so people listening that have grandparents go around, please go out and talk to them. If you're a grandparent, hug your grandchildren until they'll listen to you. So I was always so jealous of people that had those resources close to them like that, because I didn't have that. I'm hoping. Because they do want to, but by the time they want to, that time is gone, because the people are gone then.
And anytime when your daughter's ready, just let me know. But that's good advice. I think you should go back and talk to your I've said that many times on this program, that you should go back and talk to your grandparents, because they have interesting stories to tell about life and life lessons, and also interesting experiences and wisdom. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You might think about making a rap record about that.
Probably not, but.
But you can sit down and talk to your parents. I mean, what was it like when you were a little girl?
Right. I mean,
did you get in trouble for some of the things that I did, that I used to do?
I mean, that just reminded me, like, growing up, I would sometimes, like, just think to ask people, like, what's one of the greatest lessons you feel like you've learned, or what's one of the things that you feel if you could go back and change it or do it differently, what would that be? Or what's one of your biggest regrets? I would ask people that I felt like, I guess, I could learn something from. I would ask them that question, and just whatever they're saying, I'm just trying to learn from whatever their answer is.
I guess everybody has those questions, so. But in terms of your music, that's what we talked about last time, and we talked about doing that interview at the Library. I want to say Library of Congress, but it really wasn't the Library of Congress. That's where it's going to be. But and we talked about that. And you asked me. I can't even remember what you asked me.
I asked you about what was it like, the transition from New York to here, but you said you were.
I was only in New York for like 2 years, man. I was 2 years old when I came down here.
Yeah, I asked you that, and then I asked you about, because you said you were inspired by some DJs.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
and like
Bill Terrell, Charlie D, all those guys. Yeah. So it was that kind of back and forth that we had, which was very good. As a matter of fact, I asked you so many questions. I don't even know what to ask you right now. Because I mean, it's almost like I'm going to do this whole thing all over again while trying to make it fresh, like I've never done it before. You understand what I'm saying? We should have recorded that and brought it back here.
Well, I mean, they can see it on the internet, but I can think of a lot of things, because, like...
So he's going to interview himself. Go ahead.
I mean, because I guess I always be feeling like, when you do interviews, you only have so much time to cover certain things, but, like, not even just with music, but like we talked about, I think, last time, my music is a reflection of, me as a person and all
right,
that.
And that's what we talked about doing the interview that Saturday.
Yeah,
like your music is sort of like a biography, autobiography of yourself.
Yeah.
And how do you have the courage to reveal so much about yourself? Yeah,
and to go into that, I think I touched on that when I was here last time, but me being a Christian, and there's so many things with that in being a Christian and what it means to be a Christian. What does being a Christian look like when you're trying to, do music like what I'm doing? Or what is being a Christian even like just in this day and age, being young and trying to live that type of way and relating, seeking to live a godly life in this society as it is now versus maybe how it was X amount of years ago, and whatever struggles come with that, whether you grew up in the church or not. But then there's that layer too, for the people who grew up in a religious household and then they go to school and then, eventually get out of school and they go to work and then they're starting to live their own lives, building their own families and trying to juggle all the messages that's being thrown at them regarding religion, regarding life, and what's okay, what's not okay, and being black in America, young black man in America, and all the messages and things that come from that. It's a lot.
So let me ask you something. You being a Christian and you're also rapping, the obvious question is, why don't you just do Christian rap? And the fact that you rap outside of that, does it present any conflicts? With you, I mean, in
Right.
terms of trying to be who you are, but trying to...
Well, I feel like if you asked me that question some years ago, I probably would have had a different answer, but today I feel like my answer would be, I'm not necessarily rapping outside of it because my rapping is reflective of my walk as a Christian. In my songs I'm not cussing and, using certain words of, tearing women down and all that stereotypical imagery that we have with rap nowadays. I'm not doing any of that in my music, and all of my music, as we already said, is either me talking about how I'm feeling or what's going on, or I'm putting some encouragement or some hopeful words of wisdom in what I'm saying for the purpose of encouraging the person that's hearing what I'm saying. So I feel like one of the things with the whole Christian rap versus just rap, I think that's an issue I guess we have with labeling, like trying to set ourselves apart, because as Christians, we are supposed to be doing that. But I guess I feel like in a way, it's like trying too hard a little bit. Like, because anybody can get on the microphone and say, John 3:16, you made me clean, and whatever they want to say. But that don't mean you're living what you're rapping.
Right. You rap it, but you're not living it.
Yeah. Anybody can do that. So I feel like the whole idea of what it means to be a Christian, not just in rap, but to be a Christian in our daily lives outside of, Sunday morning or Bible study, I feel like we have a hard time understanding that. So for me, I would say I'm not rapping outside of Christian rap. I'm a Christian and I rap, and this is how that sounds coming from
do you
me.
reference God in your raps, or is it something that we can imply or infer that this is what you're trying to get to?
Both. Because actually on my album, the last song, there's a verse in there where I say, thank you, Lord, for saving me. Amen. At the end of the verse. And then on another song on there, I'm saying, dear Lord, I'm asking for you to help me and guide me, lead me upon the way of the unwayward and righteous. So it's in my music, but I just don't do it when you think of the term Christian rap, you typically think of there's gonna be a verse here, something about Jesus down on the cross, down for the lost, like that type of presentation. That's kind of what we assume, and that's just not me. That's not my authentic representation. Because not talking down or saying nothing bad about people that do it that way, but for me, that music doesn't really affect me in a way where I want to keep listening to it.
Why not?
It just doesn't sound
Authentic.
appealing to me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, even when you're young and you're growing up and the churches have like the outreach stuff and they're trying to reach the youth and get youth into the church or involved in the church, sometimes they'll bring in either just playing the music, or there's been some churches where they actually bring an artist in or whatever. And for me, I like the music where it sounds like it's real life. Like, it don't sound like you're just reading the Bible and making something rhyme with a scripture you read. Because it don't sound real to me. It sounds more real to me when you're talking about you fighting depression and you're feeling like all hope is lost, but even though you're feeling that, you still believe in, Jesus and God, and you might mention the scripture there, because even DMX and his rapping, he had prayers in his albums and in some of his songs.
But DMX was a complicated figure. I mean, I think people read him wrong, but he really was a true person.
Yeah, I feel like the way I feel about DMX is basically he lived his life in front of us. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like his raps.
But when you think of all the stuff he had to go through, though, man, it's amazing he reached the level he did. And I guess it goes to show his perseverance. And because he was a Christian. He had to work out a lot of things, but he was just a great guy. But, man, he had to go through some. Even at an early age, his best friend turned him on to drugs,
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy, yeah. But do you find it, so as a rapper, someone who believes in God and is a Christian, by the way, our number is 733-5620. Do you find it tough to navigate those three things?
Believing in God and rapping? Right now, I don't. I don't feel it's so much of a... I don't feel it's a struggle because I have more understanding now, and I have more security in my relationship with God, to where I know that as long as I'm not doing anything that's out of His will or positioning me where it's like I'm trying to be like the world, and my focus isn't making sure I'm aiming to be like him, I'm all right.
But there's so many influences when it comes to young people these days. You all are exposed to much more than I was, because there was no internet around. We only had 3 television channels. I'm dating myself, but but it just wasn't. I mean, the information and everything is just was not present, and I'm just curious as to.
You're right, man.
How do you deal with all these negative influences? And some of it's positive, a lot of it's positive, but the negative influences, like especially with rap, and women, and money, you gotta have street credibility, that kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, there's that, but to me, I feel like it's even just society now, because the one thing that I don't like about social media is that everybody got the ability to say a message and push it out, even if that message isn't true, or it's not validated. It don't go through no process where it's like, all right, what you saying checks out, so we can push that out there. And like you said, with the youth, we're very impressionable, and when you have you know, in this world that we're living in, there's so many people coming from broken homes, so many people looking for validation, looking for identity, looking for somewhere to belong, looking for somewhere to fit in. You got all of that going on, and so many messages about if you're not doing X, Y, and Z, then you don't belong, or you're not this, or you're not that, because you don't do this, and you don't look like this, you don't dress like this, and you don't go to these places, you don't do this on Friday night and Saturday night, so you're out of this clique. With all of that going on, when you're not secure in who you are, it just puts you in a place where you're taking in all these influences, trying to navigate it, and basically trying to find out who you are and where you belong. But you know, with being a Christian, you understand we come from God, so the only way to really find out who we are is going to the source of who is the reason that we even are in the first place. So when you don't have that, it just makes it that much harder, and it's hard out here trying to keep your head on the right track while navigating and trying to filter through all these messages and, you know, what is healthy or what's good or what's beneficial for me to cling on to, and what are the things I need to just let wash off of me and go off to the side.
All right, let's grab a telephone call before we take a break. Yes, caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Yes.
Mr. Frierson, is there any way possibility that you can put a short version of his song so that we can hear just a little bit of his
You know what? I have a CD here with him. He bought a CD here, and I can't get my CD player to work, but I'm going to check on it during the break, and hopefully we'll be able to listen to some of his music. Okay? All right, having said that, we need to take a break. We'll be back in just a few moments. Before we take a break, though, would not like to send condolences out to the family of Darryl Early. He was my first cousin. He passed away on Friday. And speaking of music, he was very much into music. He played keyboards for a number of bands around the city. And he also worked with ETV for a long time with Bill Terrell and Mr. Belt Middleton and Joe Scott. And he passed away, but he left an indelible mark on the city of Columbia and his family members, including me. We'll be back with more in just a few moments.
Born with a soul seemingly destined and headed for pain, trying to make sense of all the heartaches, burdens and strain, making notes in my afflictions, past wounds and scars, regulating time to care for others while neglecting my heart. Though I approach with pure intention, as evil I'm seen, casted in light, crafted by darkness, leaving truth unseen. My intention was to never hurt or burden my brother, only to help him grow in wisdom and love and instruction. Cautious of the ones I seek to nurture and grow, nauseous from all the pain circulating my soul. How can I give so much love with so little to gain? Betrayed by those who promised they would never go stray. There were times when I called and I pleaded for peace, and only dark images started running to me. Cold nights steady shivering while tossing and turning, seeking relief from these heavy burdens. Through life I've been scarred, been tattered and bruised, yet still I'm passing through. Mistreated, seen as a demon through a lens so true, yet still I'm passing through. Through life I've been scarred, been tattered and bruised, yet still I'm passing through. My heart, there was such pain, man, it's hard to move, yet still I'm passing through. I'm passing through. Everybody seeking love, at least how to receive. But in love, it seems no one is really willing to lead. How can you love when you live in life solely for self and Never taking a minute to care for nobody else. Don't get it twisted, thinking love is all wrapped up in your feelings. It has its place, but most of all lives in your daily decisions. Comprehending the attention from the soul of another. Looking to simply get build and strengthen each other. Shame to those who misuse it and abuse it for gain. Imprisoning a person's life through manipulative ways. Creating painful situations, nearly leading to crisis. Causing so many people now to go suicidal. Never thinking in their minds that a life is worthwhile. Feeling being under the dirt is better than seeing sunshine. My soul deeply empathizes with the pain you display. I pray and hope you shall see better days. Through life I've been scarred, being tattered and bruised, yet still I'm passing through. Mistreated, seen as a demon through a lens so true, yet still I'm passing through. Through life I've been scarred, being tattered and bruised, yet still I'm passing through. My heart filled with such pain, ain't as hard to move, yet still I'm passing through. I'm passing by through the pain and all the suffering, innocent struggle to remain within the soul of a child new coming to a world that he didn't make, shape, or create. Yet already has a plan to pull him different ways. Presenting imagery of innocence mingled and laced with hidden messages and undertones that lead him astray. As the days pass by and he continues to grow, a point in time arrives when deep inside the walls of the soul, without foundation of the truth and a sense of stability, he'll crumble and fall victim while his spirit is sickening, never knowing what it means to be himself and free. Following footsteps of the blind and still claim they can see. To be a king is the dream for which he fiends and wishes, yet the world got him blind to the fact a king is within him. Chasing riches, women, fame, amassing living in vain, wanting a death to recognize the living he never did taste. Hey.
True. That's nice.
I appreciate that.
I like that. What's the name of that?
Passing Through. First song on the album. Yep, Passing Through.
The music is really nice behind the words.
Yes, sir.
So did you come up with that
appreciate
music, or
Hmm?
did you come up with the music, or?
Yeah, I made that all the way.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, sir.
So what is the message you're trying to convey here?
Well, there's a couple messages, but overall, I'm saying that, you know, despite me being mistreated and, you know, basically me being torn down and negative things happening to me in my life, that I'm still making it through. And I said passing through because, you know, down here on earth, that's what we're doing. We're passing through because, again, being a Christian, you know, I have a hope for heaven being my home when it's all over, and I'm basically just referencing that and saying it. But I just threw in some other things too, like on the second verse, I just shared the thing about, you know, love. That's a big thing people talk about, or at least the concept of it, like relationships and dating and marriage and all that. A lot of us are talking about that now, but I feel like the conversation, at least mostly that from culture and society that's being pushed out about it is coming from a self-centered place. Like, it's all about what can I get, or what benefit am I gonna gain from this, versus what am I bringing, or what can I contribute to it. So that's why I said what I said about everybody seeking love, but not how to receive.
Yeah, let's grab a couple of telephone calls and go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yes. Tell truth that I really appreciate that. That was enjoyable, and it also was awesome, man. I really enjoyed that, and thank you, Don, for playing it.
Sure, thank you. I tell you what, that really had a smooth flow to it.
Yeah, I appreciate
It wasn't
you
the kind
saying
of boom, boom. You know what I mean?
that. Yeah.
No, but I referenced my cousin before the break, who passed away this past Friday.
Yeah.
And he and I used to sit around and talk about music.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, him being a musician,
Yeah.
and we talked about music all the time. One of the things that we would talk about sometime is how a lot of today's music, or at least what we hear out there on the radio,
Yeah.
I mean, just doesn't have any meaning. I mean, it's just throw some words together, make sure they rhyme, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what will people be listening to 40 years from now?
Yeah.
And I don't know if, him being a musician, that's how he looked at it. Well, me being a lover of music, and I guess sometimes you have to take time to try to understand what people are saying. But I, be honest with you, I don't know what. We used to have those kind of conversations a lot.
I mean, I think we talked about that a little bit on the Story Corps thing too, but I mean, I guess every genre of music, you had some junk, but then you
had less junk. I think.
Because I think back about, because I listen to, stuff from the 60s and the late 50s and the 70s and the 80s too, and there's a lot of like great music from during that time up to the 90s and early 2000s still, and even there's great music now, but I think one of the things that changed was you still had some get through the cracks, but I feel like back from that era leading all the way up to maybe I'll say the 90s, the push or the music that got a lot of the push was like basically the music that opened the doors for the genres to become what they are now. Like the people who created hip hop or the people who created soul, who created R&B, like all of those are very great songs, and those are the songs that pushed through and we all heard on the radio, and there was a wave of just all this great new talent.
Yeah, that's another thing Darryl Early and I used to talk about, because a lot of hip-hop today, especially at the advent of hip-hop, is predicated on what had come before, like James Brown, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that beat came from. Let's go to the telephone. Hello, you're on the air. Hey. True. True. TRU.
Well, 2RU3, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice style you got there, and it's refreshing to see some positive Christian, rap, some positive words, and not just these, gangster rappers and the manospheres here and there, and then the very next song talking about shooting in the head, shooting a brother, in the back, or what I'm saying, those good people think positive. Just talking about getting gold chains and money and dollars and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. It's something refreshing.
All right. Thank you for
I appreciate
Thank you for your
that.
call. Now let me make sure I spell his name right. How do you spell your name, True?
I spell it with the number 2, the letter R, the letter U, and the number 3. But it's pronounced True. That's how I do it.
Next time you're on, we're going to have a discussion about phonetics, okay? Where were you, what stage were you in, or where were you at when you wrote that song? Or were you going through anything? Or
I sure was. I was going through a whole lot. When I wrote that song, I still remember. I remember just that first part, that boom, boom, boom. when I first heard that, I was sitting in my house on a computer, starting on that, and during that time, I was in a pretty rough spot. I was in a relationship with somebody that was struggling with crack addiction. And there was a child also, not biological to me, but still there was a child in the middle of that relationship that I had developed a father-son type relationship with. So dealing with all the things that come with that, on top of I was not really all the way strong yet, like in my Christian walk and stuff, but I was in a place where I was like going from not really being sure if God was like God, like Jesus and all of that, and I was still trying to figure that out. So I was also dealing with that at the same time, and just also trying to figure out who I was on a different level though. Like, why am I here? Why am I on this earth? Why am I breathing? You know, why am I still here after all these years? Like, is there a real reason? Because at that point I was feeling like, if there's not a reason for me being here, let's go ahead and just get it over with. Let me get through.
You wasn't suicidal, were you?
I was about there, because another song on this album, I touch on that. I'm trying to remember how I said it on that song, but wondering when I die, will I sink or fly? So that was in my mind during that time.
Wow. So how did writing this? Did it pull you back from the brink in that you were able to kind of reflect on everything that you were going through your music?
I don't know if I'd say it pulled me back, but kind of like the name of the song, it more helped me to continue past through. It helped me to continue get that out into the song and be able to continue soldiering through all of that as I was managing it and trying to navigate it and basically figure out what do I need to do and how am I going to get out of this.
So you were able to work through that?
Yeah, I was able to get out of that situation, yes.
You know, the reason I ask that is because so many of our young men kill themselves, just to be quite frank with you, commit suicide. The suicide rate among young black men is just high.
Yeah.
And, you know, people go through things, don't know how it's going to work out in the end, but you just have to keep on walking. You know?
That's right.
Glad you made it through.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad I did too. Things are definitely better now. And,
You just got to hang in there, right?
Yeah, you gotta hang in there and you gotta get some help, because dealing with that situation, mostly I dealt with it on my own, because when you're dealing with something like that, you feel like, who can you even talk to? Because it's like, who else is dealing with this? Secondly, you know, when you're dealing with a relationship where that type of thing is going on, you're trying to figure out how to not basically expose the person, because you know you're trying to, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of right now, but you're trying to be considerate of the fact, okay, it's an addiction, so there's a level to this where it's not like this person has got all of everything going the way it's supposed to be going upstairs and just physiologically in their body.
They got to make it to a point where they want to help themselves.
Right.
You can't help somebody who don't want to help themselves.
Right. But when you in the middle of it though, it's like you're trying to figure out how to help them get their own help while also not feeling like you're putting all their business out on Front Street.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, man. The best thing anybody can have more than money is a friend they can talk to. I'm
Yeah.
serious about that. That's the best thing you can have.
Straight up.
But so where is True's music now? What is True rapping about now? The sins of the world, how we can all come together and live together.
I
What?
mean, yeah, True's music now is I think it's
Oh,
in
hold
a-
on a second. 733-5620 is the number, by the way. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But yeah, my music now is in a place where I'm definitely gonna be talking about stuff, in the world, or stuff I still feel that's going on or not going on. But I also think there's another aspect of it that's still trying to figure out, like, what is the next expression. That's where it's at right now. But another version of this album is supposed to be coming out June 27th, and I do have another plan to take a mixtape that I released before while I was freestyling over other people's beats, making my own beats and being able to put that out there so people can listen to that too.
Now, I have no idea what a mixtape is.
I
I've
think they
read,
said
that
Yeah,
Ludacris, everybody has a mixtape. I don't know what that is.
I think you said that before.
I did say it before
But
because I forgot what you told me. I still don't have an idea what a mixtape is.
a mixtape, well, it's done changed now. It's still really, but when I was doing it, a mixtape was basically a way for an artist to promote themselves, kind of showcase their skill and ability with rapping, and being able to do that over beats that have already been released. They're already popular songs, but it's kind of being like, I can do this too, or let me show you what I can do on this. So that's kind of what the mixtape was, freestyling over other people's beats, like Lil Wayne rapping over the beat of a T.I. song that he put out on his album, but him rapping on it in a way where it's like he made it his own song.
Let me ask you something. You along that genre.
Mm-hmm.
Why do rappers today have beefs? I mean, like Drake is supposed to be beefing with somebody. God. I mean, what sense does that make? To me, that's like James Brown and Little Richard having a beef. I mean, I'm a Sam Cooke having a beef with Jackie. Jackie Wilson. That's crazy.
I mean, I'm sure them people back in the days, they had their little issues
They
with
did,
each
but
other.
it wasn't celebrated. I mean, it wasn't like I'm gonna put this record out about you, and then you put this record out about me, and we just go back and forth. And
I think, so when you're talking about that part of it, like the whole record dissing back and forth, when this kept purely hip hop, kind of like KRS-One and I forgot that guy, the other guy's name is it's on the top of my mind right now.
hang on, we got to take a break.
You found your neighbor's secret stash? Turns out my neighbors were hiding a
Oh, I just don't understand too much stress. Can I just rest my head in my heart? I do my best to be true every day. I'm trying my best to get through. Yeah. My heart is real heavy. My tongue is tied from all the passion and praying, the crying day and night, trying to find a solution to change my state of confusion. Cause in my mind I ain't lying, I'm feeling living is useless. Why we made to give life when death is right there to take it? They telling me it's alright, but I know this world is crazy. How can you love who's invisible but deeply hate who you see? How can you say that you're real yet always lie when you speak? I know I've been given a gift, but it seems to bleed. In the end it seems my life when I'm out to nothing but dreams. Another soldier with a talent, trying to do the right thing. Broken and battered with dreams shattered from lies taught to believe. Burdened with passion, burdened with love, burdened with pain, burdened with feeling my abilities were given in vain. To stack and make change seems an unreachable goal. These are the words of a troubled soul.
Oh, I just don't understand too much stress. Can I just rest my head in my heart?
All right, that's True doing a little singing and a little rapping. What's the name of that?
Troubled soul.
Trouble Soul. That's what you were at that particular time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
How many years ago was that?
This is 2024 now. That was about maybe six or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. I cut you off. You were trying to make a point, but the
Yeah.
music came up, and I apologize for doing that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying basically, so the whole making a record going back and forth, that part is, it's not really beef at that point, but as long as it's kept hip hop, meaning it sticks to the records, it sticks to, just healthy competition. But beef, for real, is when it's getting beyond the records and it's like, all right, I'm gonna see you outside, and when it's over, somebody ain't gonna be standing still. That's beef for real. And I feel like, like I said, people have had their issues, but everybody knows when that Tupac Biggie thing happened,
West Coast, East Coast.
it
Yeah.
was like, after that, that's when we started seeing more of it. You had 50 Cent and Ja Rule, you had 50 Cent and Game, you had
50 Cent, as smart as he is, he is very intelligent. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but he's very intelligent and business savvy.
yeah, he
But
is.
he has more beefs with him. Hey.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing that now anymore, but shortly after that Tupac Biggie time frame, that but then it just went on with other people, and up to these days and times, it's gotten really bad
Well,
because a lot of younger artists
Who don't understand.
haven't been
Yeah.
out that long, they're not even here anymore.
So what I wanted to ask you before you got off this program today, is it hard to find music like we just played on hip-hop radio stations today?
On a radio station,
Yeah,
would say,
could we hear that on a hip-hop radio station?
I would say mostly no,
Why is that?
because that's not where the money is. And really, to even get on the radio, unless you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, you're going to have to pay something to even get your music played on there. And the way, with radio and all that type stuff, at least in my experience and what I've seen, the setup is basically you artist trying to get on, but you got to pay all this money just to get on to then make
So how much you
money.
paid me today?
Nothing.
Well, we're gonna see
This-
about that now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate these opportunities. And you let me come on and we talk.
Oh, sure.
And all of that, because it's genuine. And people always talk about. I hear this a lot with like the industry or whatever, but people always talk about relationships. But those relationships, they say that, but there's always a price tag involved. And when you're doing that, I understand people don't work for free, but there also needs to be a fine line. Like, okay, if we're actually having what type of relationship are you talking about? Because, yeah, a business relationship, you do exchange money, but even in that, there's just certain things like character and how you do business and how you go about bringing new clientele in and interacting with that clientele and nurturing and cultivating the business aspect of it in a way where it breeds at least a good feeling between the client and the person they're doing business with.
Yeah, let me grab a telephone call because we're almost out of time. Go ahead, caller.
And how do we get in contact with him?
All right, let me get you. Can you repeat that because I had your mic off? Go ahead and repeat that.
I want to know, how do we get in contact with him, and do he do local shows in Columbia?
All right, thank you. That's a good question. How can we purchase your music? How can people get in contact with you? And do you do local shows?
On the local shows part, I'm slowing down on that right now because of some issues I've been having with my jaw. So I can't really rap and sing for a long time without that starting to give me some pain. But you can find my music if you Google my name, 2,
Spell
the
it.
number 2, the letter R, the letter U, and the number 3. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook by still searching my name again, the number 2, the letter R, the letter U, and the number 3. Also, I'm on YouTube. If any of you don't use Apple Music and Spotify and still want to get a hold of my music, you can go to Bandcamp, that's BANDCAMP.com, and search my name on there as well. That's the number 2, the letter R, the letter U, and the number 3. And you'll see my picture come up and get my album.
On with the soul seemingly destined and headed for pain, trying to make sense of all the heartaches, burdens and strain, making notes in my afflictions, past wounds and scars, recollecting time to care for others while neglecting my heart. Though I approach with pure intention, as evil I'm seen, casted in light, crafted by darkness, leaving truth unseen. My intention was to never hurt or burden my brother, only to help him grow in wisdom and love and instruction. Cautious of the ones I seek to nurture and grow, nauseous from all the pain circulating.